friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. And of course, in today's video we are talking about dramione fanfiction again. In today's video though, I want to share with you guys every single piece of dramione fanfiction that I have read from March until now. And I know this isn't my typical dramione fanfiction recommendation video, but I just love doing these videos because talking about my recent read kind of gives me the opportunity to talk to you guys about a wider variety of fiction, because some of the fic that I read may never fit into any kind of recommendation video that I do, and I never get to talk about them. At the same time, be completely transparent with you guys on my feelings on some of the recent read, because it is just impossible for me to love every single piece of fanfiction that I read. And before we start the video though, I just want to give a disclaimer that if I mention something that I don't like in this video, it's usually because of me, myself, and I. It's usually because of my own personal preference that I can fall in love with a story. There's nothing against the author at all, because I know and I appreciate all the authors so much for writing for us, working so hard to give us their talent for free. Please do not feel bad if you hear me saying I don't like something in this video. And now that we get that out of the way, let's get the video started, shall we? I think the last time that I did this video was in February, and I was doing a wrap up for January and February. So the first read that we have here is kind of like a hanging read from February, and that is Meet Your Match by Morgan Mercy. This is a story about Draco and Hermione unexpectedly share a mutual connection to a muggle friend, and Draco doesn't know that this is Hermione. Also, Hermione doesn't know that this is Draco, and the muggle friend is trying to make a match out of Draco and Hermione without knowing that Draco and Hermione knows each other, and there's like a whole magical world behind their eyes. So throughout this story, we kind of see Draco and Hermione navigate that friend group, not to violate the statute of secrecy, but also kind of learn about the other person, open up to them, and get past all of their judgment, all of their prejudice, in order to kind of like learn and love this new person that is coming into their life. So with Meet Your Man, we have a little bit of kind of like a complete, very well-developed romance story. So if you guys are in the mood for some of that, maybe check out Meet Your Match by Morgan Mercy. If you guys know Morgan Mercy, you guys know that this author wrote a banger of a marriage law story that is 10 out of 10. That story just consumed me whole, and I felt so many emotions with that story that I cannot even talk about it right now. But because of 10 out of 10, I kind of set the expectation a little bit too high for Meet Your Man, I think, which is why I felt kind of underwhelmed with this story. I have nothing against this story at all, because the writing, the characterization, the development of Draco and Hermione, and anything else in this story is coming from Morgan Mercy, and I have no complaint about the quality of the work or anything like that. But for some reason, I just didn't feel any kind of like strong emotion with this one, and I know that this story is a favorite for so many of you guys, so this is also tested and proven. If the synopsis speak to you in any kind of way, I feel like you should check this out, because I had a good time reading this story. I just didn't feel like it was giving me batshit crazy type emotion or anything like that. So yeah, go check it out if you guys are in the mood for some romance. Next, I read a one-shot, and that is At Long Last by Literary Spell. This story starts out for us with Draco and Hermione being separated from each other, but the other person is kind of like always reside on their mind. So throughout the story, we kind of get to see how Draco and Hermione work to overcome the obstacle that were put in their way that prevent them from being together. This story harbors such a domestic vibe with the appearance of Draco and Hermione's child as well. So if you guys are in the mood for some domestic dramione, I feel like you guys should check this out. This story also unexpectedly has such lemon, such spice in the middle of the story. So if you guys are also in the mood for some of that, please go ahead and check this out as well. There are no tag or nothing on this story, so I was kind of taken aback by all of that details. And because this is a one-shot, the storyline is super expedited, but I know that this is a one-shot, and I know that authors don't have much real estate to expand on a one-shot, so I want to give kudos to this author for kind of like packing this whole timeline and include so many details into their one-shot. So I feel like you guys will have a good time with this story. I also didn't feel any kind of strong emotion toward this, but I still had a good time reading this story, and it's a one-shot that you guys can just knock out in one go, and it was a good read for me as well. Next, I read To Brew a Scandal by Star in Motion. This is a Victoria or Regency area twist on dramione that has dramione become friends and then enemy and then lover, and I mean that synopsis, those two details alone is enough for me to start reading this story. And when you start reading this story, it will consume you whole. Like, you will not be able to put down this story at all, because the writing, the characterization, the plot line, everything is so perfectly orchestrated to create like this timeline and this fic that is so magical to you that it's becoming like one of the most remarkable and the most memorable read that you have in your whole Dramione reading career. This is just a very notable work that I would recommend any day of the week. Also, Crookshank, if you love that cat, you're gonna love this story, okay? Because just go and read this story. I would give this story like 6 stars out of 5 if I'm rating it right now. I had such a good time with this story. I enjoyed it so much, and I think that you guys will too, so please go ahead and check this story out. Next, I read Teach Me How to Forget by Scully Murphy, and this is one of the stories that I started reading because the synopsis just speaks to me so much. Ron was cheating on Hermione, so we have a Ron bashing story here, but Hermione's life is kind of like falling apart. We find her in kind of like a bad place, and she was looking for some career advancement, so she decided to take a defense class in order to get a certificate. But last minute there was some complication with the instructor, so they had to find a replacement for the person, the replacement being Draco Malfoy. So that's how the story opened up for us. This is once again a romance story that kind of walks us through the development of Draco and Hermione, how they kind of walk or overcome all of their prejudice, all of the judgment that they have passed between each other in order to fall in love with the other person. I love Scully Murphy, and I believe that I have read so many stories by this author before, and I was in love with like every single one of their stories. So I also set the expectation a little bit too high with Teach Me How to Forget story specifically. If you guys don't want spoiler, please go ahead and skip over to the next part. But I feel like Draco and Hermione doesn't really believe in their love in this story, and without the help of the other characters in the story kind of pushing them toward each other, they would never be able to become together or be together. So that's one thing that was bothering me. But overall, I feel like this is a very good romance piece of work, and also it's a fan favorite for many reasons. So if you guys are in love with the synopsis, if you guys wanted to read this story, I feel like you guys should also go ahead and read it as well, and maybe you will fall in love with it. So next though, I read Measure of a Man by andddd 22. This is a story that I spent more than a month reading, and I also made an entirely separate video on this story alone on my channel, so you guys know my feelings about Measure of a Man by andddd 22. But if you guys have not heard of it, which I doubt, this is a 600,000 word Dramione fanfiction that detailed the growth of Draco Malfoy through the eyes of Hermione, how Draco kind of become a better person, a better dad, and a better son, all in 600,000 words, okay? The author has 600,000 words to build this world with Draco and Hermione in the center of it, but we have an ensemble of supporting cast around them as well. And the majority of this story is about building the relationship between Draco and Hermione, but there is also the relationship building between Draco, Hermione, and the other characters in their life as well. And I feel like reading Measure of a Man is like having a bird's eye view on Draco and Hermione's life and how their life is intertwined with all the other loved ones that they have in their life. It's create a very beautiful narrative. It's create such an intricate and complicated and complex life that is reflective of our life as well, and you can find yourself or somebody else in your life in the story. I would say that you don't have to read this story because it is not a small feat for you. It is a 600,000 word piece of fanfiction that takes me a month to read, and I was reading this solely alone. So it is not a small feat for you to read. It is not a small commitment of your time. So if you're not in love with the story, there is no reason why you have to read this story. But I also feel like there are very few fanfiction in the Dramione fandom that compare to Measure of a Man. So if you guys have the motivation to read this story though, I would say to stick through with it toward the end, because I was a hater of Measure of a Man as well. But after I finished the story, I appreciate every single detail, every single characters, every single word that it has put into this story. So yeah, that story put me into a 2-month-long reading slump. That coupled with like my busy summer, I didn't read anything else for like a couple months later. I believe the next one I read is Love Me Twice by Bex Chan. This is another one-shot that resolved around memory altercation. So Draco and Hermione was having a relationship, but Hermione's memory was taken away from her. I have always had a thing for memory fic, and I just love how the authors in our fandom just give us so many good fic in the memory trope. And this is one of them as well. You guys already know Bex Chan already. She's a very famous author in the Dramione fandom with Isolation. And I have a thing that whenever I love an author, I would go ahead and read their story without adult. So that's why I read Love Me Twice. I had a good time with this story. It reminded me a lot of Isolation. The character building for Draco and Hermione also kind of remind me of the character building in Isolation as well. So if you guys like Isolation, I would say that go ahead and read Love Me Twice. Next, I read a very special piece of story that is Troy and Chen by Chaos and Crumbats, and this is one of my recent reads lately. It is a wartime story that doesn't really leave me with clammy hands, with anxiety. It's a story about Draco and Hermione accidentally travel to another universe, so a parallel universe story fic that we have here. It also has element of time travel in this as well. I have read time travel story before, but I don't think I've ever read a multi-universe or parallel universe story before, so this was just a completely special and interesting work that I would like for you guys to check out if you guys have not read it before. I feel like the title of this story kind of just summarizes the story really well for us, given the different choices and different chances one life may turn out completely differently. And one of the quote that I really love in the Hermione story is from It Then by Santa, and the quote only has 3 words in it, and it say in a different life. Sorry for words. I have always kind of wondered about the in a different life aspect of life, and so I just love how Chaos and Crumbats kind of incorporate that into her story and present to us 2 different versions of Hermione, 2 different upbringing, 2 different war, and we see how our Hermione turn out differently when they are given different choice and chance. What is better than Hermione is to Hermione. I had a really good time with it. I enjoyed the story thoroughly. Next, I read another one-shot by Bex Jen, and that is The Advocate's Handwriting. This is also another wartime story, safe house type of story with Draco being injured and Hermione being his healer. Story goes deeper than what I just tell you, but I want to give you guys that to read, to enjoy, because it is a one-shot. If I talk too much, I'll spoil the whole story for you guys. I really love reading one-shot. Just like I say, I feel like the authors don't have much real estate, but whenever the author can put a whole timeline, a lot of detail into the story, then I was just completely in love with the story. I have planned to kind of produce a video for you guys that focus on one shot that are really great, that pack a punch. So if you guys want to see that video, let me know in the comment and I'll get it out a little bit earlier for you guys. I had a good time with it, so you guys check it out if you guys are in need of some wartime story with an injured Draco and healer Hermione. A pining Draco too. And the last story that I have in this video is some very funny, hilarious story, and that is Northern Exposure by Pia Portolini. This is a kind of like a short story, but it's multi-chapter. I believe it only has like under 20,000 words. It's just a hilarious piece of work. It made me laugh out loud like crazy. My boyfriend was like, "What the heck are you reading?" type of laugh. Okay, it has a lot of lemons, a lot of spice, but it was really cute. It showed a different aspect of Draco and Hermione. Also have a very special characterization of Draco as well, also told in Draco's first person point of view. So if you guys are looking for any of that, I feel like you should check this story out because it gave me such a good time. Okay, I just had such a good laugh reading this story. Recommend like reading this story on a weekend because I feel like it would just up your mood like instantly. And that is all that I have read since March. You guys know how busy I was during the summer. I was just traveling like crazy. Also, Measure of a Man kind of just put a dent in my heart and I was recovering from it, so I didn't read anything for like 2 months after Measure of a Man. If you guys decided to check out any of the work that I mentioned in this video, let me know in the comment down below so that I can hear you guys' thought and opinion as well. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.